Yeah, so please do let me know if you're able to see the screen.
Yes, Shadi.
Okay.
Your screen is visible now.
Oh, great. Yeah. Okay, so today being the first session, so the intention behind is just giving everyone a very, very high hawk's eye view of what exactly is big data, and there might be a lot of apprehension going around a lot of guys' mind, whether is it the right track, have I chosen the right thing? So getting some of those cleared, get some insight on what exactly is the big data, why you're over here, and what's the hype all about. I'm pretty much sure because of the hype is what you all turned up for the session and stuff like that. So just want to get an icebreaker session and get into the stepping stone for the big data. That's exactly what I would expect to be delivered from this session. Okay, so give me a brief introduction of myself. Yeah, pretty much close to 16 years of software solution industry experience. Worked on a variety of technology. Let me mute everyone because I can hear a lot of background noise being coming in. So manage participants. So let me mute everyone. For the time being, let me mute. Yeah. Okay, so close to 16 years of software solution industry experience. I've been working with starting with PHP, VB, and legacy systems. So some of those mainframe applications. I've been conducting trainings on the DB2 systems, backend databases, and stuff like that. Got into big data arena. So maybe close to 3 years now. Conducted almost close to 20 plus trainings. Conducting some of those corporate trainings as well. So that's exactly my exposure to the big data environment. So done a couple of implementations. Now getting into a bigger space of data analytics. I mean, that's where my research stuff going on. So done a little bit of hands-on or dirty my hands with a little bit of IoT stuff as well. So that's the ecosystem what we're going to cover, in fact, in terms of a big data analytics. So IoT, how exactly IoT is going to throw in a lot of data towards big data space. So those kind of, I'll make you guys aware of what's happening really maybe the beginning of 2018 or the bit of 2018, how exactly those emerging technologies are going to bring in a lot more data into our space, and because of which the way industry was working has completely changed it. We need to, every of those industries, irrespective of any technology wise, how exactly big data comes in picture. So that's exactly what we're going to see in the sessions we're going to walk together. So maybe the altogether there are close to 24 sessions, which has been slightly split up into different modules. So we'll see at the end of the session, you'll be able to come up with a project, in fact, a live project, which will help you out in the real market value, what exactly is being done in terms of big data space. Being all that said, so I'm assuming everyone can hear me and see my screen. So any technical glitch or anything. So I'm trying to maximize the screen. So when I maximize it, I cannot see the chat window. I just want to confirm. So yeah, I can see Mac, Pramod, many of these guys, Vikalp, Sapna, everyone has confirmations. All right. So we are all good to go now. Yeah. So just to get a brief explanation of what exactly the kind of things that come up with it is what I want to know. So before that, so what we are planning to cover over here is the Hadoop ecosystem 2.star, in fact. So 1.star is a slightly older version of Hadoop. So maybe we'll be, when we walk through the session, a slight flavor of how exactly Hadoop 1 was working, even that will be covered. So even you need to understand exactly when you're driving a power steering. So just to know a flavor of the old Ambassador car, how exactly it looked like. So that's all the Hadoop 1.star knowledge which I'm going to share with you guys. So a little bit of introduction. the key intention behind AcadGild, so get yourself or the participant ready with the technology, the aspects, which is the latest trend. I mean, whatever technology that has been. So AcadGild not only caters for big data and space, anything that's coming up in the latest trend, that's exactly what we're trying to cover. And let me use the space so just to make you understand where exactly you may be able to see some of our offerings and stuff like that, so that anytime you have logged in, you need to understand where exactly you need to go. And so maybe I'll try to cover that. Let me close the sessions. I go to acadgild.com. Yeah, so this is exactly what our latest technologies or latest trend in the current market that we are offering. So this is where exactly you'll be able to see some of our analytics space, as well as the business analytics, big data administration, big data development, full stack Android development, all this in our package now. Now coming to the big data specific development environment. So the course which we are going to cover is the big data development environment. The brainchild of started with the IIT and IIM alumni. I'm pretty much sure that you guys know about Vinod Dam. It's known as father of Pentium. So hope you guys know his contribution towards the Intel when he was working with Intel, the Pentium, how much of the contribution he has done. So he was known to be one of the founders for the AcadGild. So it clearly says our aim, what exactly are we targeting to? So provide job readiness skill for millions of high school and college graduates, as well as the working professionals. So that's exactly what the aim with which we are heading forward. A brief course objective. So there might be a lot of examples given over here, so I don't want to run through the slide and make you aware. So this slide will be when you'll be able to go through the dashboard. So I'll be picking up some of those interesting scenarios that has been happening in the current world. So with you understand why exactly there is a need or emergence of big data came into picture. So that's exactly what I would like to cover with you guys. Some of those interesting facts and figures. Okay, so that's what we're going to see and within a couple of slides time. So the course objective, Hadoop architecture, what exactly is Hadoop? The key aspects sitting behind Hadoop, the founder of Hadoop, and what exactly resulted into all this hype or the environment, structured data, unstructured data, what is all about it. This is what we're going to see through this 24 sessions, what we have. Now to come up, this is a pretty much a breakup of how exactly things will be. So this will be helpful for you to maybe a tick mark for yourself. Okay, how well I proceeded, what exactly I learned, kind of a thing. So that's all about it. We're going to learn something known as PIG, HDFS, advanced PIG, MapReduce. When we say about MapReduce, there might be slight sort of a Java coming in over here. So at times what we see from our experience is when we push into those Java part of it, whoever is not from the Java background, they feel it's slightly off-shelved or not able to cope up with that. So those guys who is not well versed in Java, so that's where exactly PIG, Hive, and other ecosystem came into picture. So that's what we're going to see in our sessions. Before how to solve big data, just before getting into it, let me just pick up any questions from anyone. So anything that we do, because I just want to make sure I just put a logic break to your questions and take forward those questions and answering to you guys, so that we don't hinder the flow of the program. So any questions that burning question that you think without which being answered, you will not be able to concentrate. Anything of that sort, please shoot. So we'll try to and make it as. Are you going to? Yeah. So I'm getting questions from Sukna. Are you going to give assignments? Yes, you're going to get assignments. I want to ask. Please unmute me so that I can ask. Okay, no core Java is enough. Yeah, so Tarun, I'll be unmuting, but I would don't want to make the session in an unmute because then we'll not be able to proceed at all. So I'm just going to unmute for a couple of minutes and then take up some of those questions and do it. Yeah, I'll be doing that, Tarun. Knowing core Java is, knowing core Java is more than enough. I mean, that's all the expectation from this program. Yes, and there is going to be a live project as well, Sarnaz. At the end of the entire session, so you're going to cover up 2 sessions, two complete live projects. And since it's the amount of data, it may not be that humongous amount of data you might be playing around with, but the minuscule of exactly the similar kind of a data and what's the solution that you see in the real-time environment, that's exactly the kind of project you're going to go with it. A data scientist, this is one of the dream job. I heard, will you please elaborate about this? Vikal, okay. One of the question. So, what exactly is the data job? I will pick that up. Let me see. Where do we need to really bring in? Yeah, I think I'll take that up straight away. One of the aspects. So, in trend and market, what is really happening is when a person does need to have some of those core skills. So basically, he needs to be a technician. So he needs to be a programmer kind of a role, first of all. Then he needs to have a little bit of analytics background. So he should be a statistician. Okay. And then he should be what else is the role? Statistician, programmer. He is known as a storyteller too. So who can convince the client stating. So that's exactly the I may have to pick a call. I think some of the admin guys are trying to reach out to me. Just hold on a minute, please. Let me mute you guys. So they just want to have a confirmation whether we are. Sure. Sorry. I just did not loop those when I sent an email to the AcadGild support desk. So that's exactly the confusion. Sorry for that. Yeah. So basically, what we speak about the data scientist. So in a very, very typical format, what I would like to say is who exactly does the data scientist job? Not sure if you heard of the last presidential election, that Obama's presidential election came up. That's exactly the time this data scientist job itself emerged up. Anyone heard about DJ Patel? Not really a DJ as and DJ Patel or Patel, whatever. Anyone heard about DJ Patel? Okay. Okay. So that's exactly the time. So basically what happened is the second term of Obama's president election was being completely won one of the major factor for winning it was based on data science. Okay, so basically what it means is, even today, what you can see, when humongous amount of data is being picked up, some sort of a statistics is run on top of it, and then what Obama's presidential candidate or his loyal guys, what they confirmed is there are some pockets where he think that his chances of coming up as an emerging as a successful candidate is very less. So what they did, they targeted only those particular areas. So maybe 10 states they found out, okay, I mean, here there is some chance of we losing the poll from this particular area. So they focus complete campaigning strategy, new marketing strategy, all those stuff on that specific area. And that's how exactly they plan those event and run it. And that's how exactly now many of those aspects, many of those events are running up. This all being taken up by data scientists. So basically what is happening is a humongous amount of data that is getting, okay, I'm taking up all this data, doing a complete data crunching. I'm doing complete data crunching and then making an insight of this data. So to make you understand in some other way, how exactly is my business going to run? Okay, so think of an example. If I'm running a Walmart business or if I'm running any of the telecom business, how exactly in 5 years' time, where exactly my business is going to go? And so how exactly I should, in case if I see some sort of a trend based on past experience, I see that in the month of June and July, my business is not picking up to that extent where I actually expect. So what sort of marketing strategy should I be adopting for it so that I can bring it my business? So based on my past history, how exactly I can put some new, induce something new to my business and then bring it up and so that my sales can be improved. So that's exactly what you can see, even if I mean, some of you guys who was looked into Tesco or any of the supermarket. So what you can see is, you might have seen a lot of shuffle happens every 3 months, every 6 months. You can see your milk packet, your bread, your stuff, everything is reshuffled. That's exactly, there is something known as data science even running over there. So what they say is the combination of some product has started deteriorating the market. And if it kept in a different fashion, they see a more sales is happening. So based on this particular data, they try to bring in very interesting facts from yes, Kaushik has made it in a one-liner. So basically, data scientist predicts future outcomes based on history. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So one of the biggest funny incidents is happening in the Walmart. What they figured out is on a weekend, okay, the number of a combination of sales along with the baby diaper. What exactly they were saying is 4 cases of beer bottle. That's exactly what is being sold along with the baby diaper. So no combination, I mean, no relation at all, but that's exactly what the data science they figured out said. So that's exactly what was happening. So one simple reason, what they need to do. So where exactly the rack, a baby diaper was being placed, they made sure that the next rack, they had the complete case of beer bottle being kept. And that sale increased from mere 32% to a 64% increase in the street. So that's exactly the pinpointed accuracy, some of those information being collected. Well, we did the data crunch is being done on particular of those aspects, made some sense out of the data, and then they target some sort of a marketing strategy or some sort of action that needs to be taken to increase the sales of market or maybe avoid the churn. If I'm a Vodafone customer, if I'm an Airtel customer, I see a lot of churn happening because of some unsatisfied customer. So what exactly should I be doing so that I get more satisfied customers? So every industry are behind big data and data analytics, and some of those key roles being played, and the very, very cream layer is being played by someone known as a data scientist. So I'm just trying to merge in many of those answers so that I can answer someone else's question too, because that's my intention. So now let me unmute some so that some of you can ask those questions. Okay, I have Vikalp, I have Linux installed. Please tell us, except Java, already done. That basically, yeah. What else is prerequisite? Okay, some of the prerequisites for this session would be, you may need to have a little bit of a Linux environment. Linux, very limited number. So in a very reality, if I want to speak, if you just Google core Linux command and pick up those first 10 commands that comes into your list, that's all you need to know in terms of big data awareness. So you need not be a Linux expert or anything. So just very basic command, how exactly cd, remove, rm command, cd command, make directory, create directory. So those very minimum. So first 10 commands, that's more than enough. So slowly and steadily, you're going to learn through it. So as in when you dirty your hands, you're going to learn exactly a couple of more commands. So maximum 15 commands is what you need to play around with for understanding the big data environment. Okay. So let me unmute. And yeah. So anyone want to pick up? Just make sure you're unmuting and raise a question and immediately mute yourself so that there's no much of a background noise coming up from this. So please go ahead. Someone who want to ask something.
Yeah, I want to ask one question.
May I know who is that? Just I mean, let's try to utilize this time to just get a brief of an introduction to maybe a one-liner so that we don't waste our time as much. Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Kaushik and I am doing MTech from Manipal University. Okay, so I just want to ask one question. Like now we are studying big data. Okay.
Yeah.
So do you big data and data analysis, are these two things like go hand in hand, or these two are two different things? Like how it works? And I think both of them are related to e-commerce industry, right?
All right. Not really. Okay. So questions to make it one liner. How exactly big data and data analytics, how exactly it's being correlated, or is it one and the same? That I would understand that's what your question is, right?
Yeah, exactly. Somewhat similar to that.
All right. So basically what we are going to see now is there is a lot of areas. I mean, that's something which you're going to see. Okay. So what I would say is park the question aside. So that question is going to get answered when we go to some couple of slides. So I would just park that question aside now. So you, at the end of the session, you'll get those questions answered. So that we don't waste time. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Sure. So let's make sure. I mean, we don't get a complete introduction. I mean, I didn't want to. So as and when we try to cover up our entire maybe close to 2 months of journey. So we'll know each other pretty well. So that time you can just give an introduction of what exactly you're doing. So that we can make it sort of a discussion sort of a thing, rather than at one stretch. If everyone start getting an introduction, no one will know who exactly and what exactly you do. So let's make it the same. Whenever you ask some questions, just briefly give an introduction of yourself, and then we'll pick up those questions again. Okay. So if no more question, is there anything from anyone? Or let's move on then. Okay. So let's start with what the solving a big data problem. Okay. So introduction to big data. So what's big data? 3 V's of big data. So source of data flood, all this. These are the agenda for today's program. Okay. So Hadoop timeline. Who is using big data? Job trends of big data. I think the last one would be the much curious point for everyone. Let me make that itself first. So expected job trend is by the end of 2016 mid or end, the expected shortage of resource is 194,000, and that's from many of those big consultant firms who is their thorough research and investigation. So I'm not talking about the job opportunity. I'm talking about the shortage of resource is going to be close to 0.2 million. Okay, 194,000. That's exactly the estimation says. So one key thing which I want to tell you guys is, if you are in an environment which you think, okay, I learned something from the big data environment, 3 months I'm going to take a training. I'm going to get some sort of a job, because if you're going to do the project wholeheartedly and stuff it for sure, because that's how the market is now. It's pretty much hotcake. So once you get a job, then okay, I'm going to have a smooth ride. Absolutely not. Every 3 months, I'm not trying to make you guys aware of, okay, I have chosen a wrong field, so let me come out of it. That's not my intention, but I just want to be frank and open to you guys. Every 3 months, you have to make yourself up to date, because that's how the trend is going. So new technology is coming up every 3 months. You need to understand what exactly happening in terms of big data space. Since it's completely an open space, n number of guys are doing research on their own area and their own space, coming up with new trend and technologies for easiness. You have to pick up those things, start working on it. So you might be dealing with, so that's exactly what is happening. So Hadoop 1 was there, which was pretty much high in demand. Now suddenly moved to Hadoop 2. Now there is Spark, which is in demand. So we'll be we'll be giving you some sort of a documentation also in terms of Spark. So technology after technology, maybe 3 months, 4 months, there's something completely new stuff coming up. You'll have to adopt it as part of your learning curve, and then you'll have to move on. I mean, you need to equip yourself, make up your mind, or set your mind that in mind. I mean, that's all the way forward for getting your big data platform. Otherwise, getting a knowledge run 3 months, okay, I'm ready for, then if I start running, that's not how it's going to. You have to really come out of your comfort zone and start working on it. I mean, that's only a way out for getting into the big data environment. Evolutionary features of Hadoop, that's something which you're going to see now. So let's begin the journey. What's big data? Okay, so we have been talking about a lot more. So some of the examples given over here, I would like to cover on my example. So anyway, this will be shared with you guys, so you'll have all this stuff in your place. So there are some from my past experience as a trainer. I know some of the research which I conducted and some of the indicators. So that's something which I'm going to share with you guys, so that some of the interesting events which is going to come in future, and how exactly big data is covered. Big data is covering for those aspects. That's what I would be interested in. So now first, when we speak about 3 V's, I guess everyone should be aware of what exactly is a 3V. So first and foremost, why big data? Okay, so you might have seen the volume of data, the huge and humongous amount of data that's coming in. Okay, so let's take some of those examples now. So you might have seen the Google itself has emerged in 1997. I guess that's where Larry Page and Sergey Brin has started their Google journey. That started with the emergence of one sort of a data. Facebook, any of the social media sites. It started with Orkut, then Facebook, and any Instagram, Dropbox, anything to say. So any of those aspects has created a humongous amount of data into our ecosystem. So how exactly are we going to make meaningful insight of those data? So that's one key aspect. And we talk about, that's exactly volume for us. Okay. The next one is going to be variety. What exactly is a variety? So all this while we have been handling, or we have been playing around with the table structure format data. So when I say structure format, it's just like your Excel sheet. So I'm assuming everyone knows what exactly an Excel sheet, right? So row and column, you have very structured kind of a data. So that's exactly what we have been playing around, because banking transaction or any of those transactions, traditional environment, that's exactly the kind of data we have been dealing with. Very, very formatted kind of a data. But now with the emergence of Twitter, email, or many of those aspects, so social medias and all, you don't find a very aligned format or the very formatted data. So you're getting lines, text after text, lines after line, different, garbage kind of a data. It's all haphazard meta, XML kind, it's a semi-structured data and all those things. So variety of data. So everyone started now posting videos using WhatsApp, using YouTube videos. You can see number of posts that is being going to the Facebook. So the entire population is around close to 7 billion, but we get 3 billion photos are going in Facebook in a month. So that's exactly, and that's multiplying every alternative month. So that's exactly the kind of growth that we're talking about. So that's the first fact, variety of data. So all this while, before 2000, maybe we had to deal mostly only with the row and column, very structured one. But now environment has completely changed, right? So now we have to deal more inside with unstructured data. Okay, and now the other one is the velocity. So what exactly is the velocity? The speed with which data is coming up. So previously we had, so why exactly the speed fast matter comes into play? When the data comes in, I was been waiting, I have enough time to do a data crunching because my data is not so huge enough. So I have time for data crunching and give the result back. But now the volume of the data has grown to that large extent. It is real-time data are coming into my system, and the client want immediate action to be taken. Because think of an example, your credit card is getting misused by someone. So I cannot wait for 2 or 3 days to come up in analytics and find out, okay, is there a place where I can really place my card, and then find out, is there a misuse? By the time the entire money would have been gone out of your account. So real-time data analytics that you need to do and come up with the result. So basically, you might have observed. So in case if you're not someone who withdraws the money quite frequently, and all of a sudden you had some need. I mean, that's the experience which I have. So I have withdrawn some 10,000 from account, and within the next 2 hours, I have withdrawn another 10,000, and within next half an hour time, the next 10,000. So 30,000 when it drawn, we were called from my bank stating, okay, there is a very continuous retrieval. Is that the right person, or is it your class card is misplaced or something of that sort? So that's exactly the kind of analytics. So the moment they see some sort of suspicious transaction happening, immediately that needs to be projected out, and some sort of an operator or kind of a technician needs to be intimated about it, and that immediate action needs to be taken. So that's exactly the velocity of data we are talking about. Okay, that's in terms of intake as well as the outgoing data. So processing as well as how exactly data is being received, both comes in the velocity factor. So now a couple of more V's are getting added to it. One is veracity and another is value. Veracity means it's the accuracy of the data. So how well our data is, so that you need to get a very cleansed kind of a data, or you need to make a cleansed data to give a better prediction for this data. Then only, as we told in the previous example, like how exactly I am making a meaningful insight of my business. That's possible only if you have a more cleaner data. So if you're coming on with complete junk and garbage data, or maybe it's pretty old data, so you may not be able to give a much better prediction for the future, right? So that's exactly what we need to do with the data. If I get a lot of data, I need to utilize this data, make the prediction next 5 years down the line, where exactly my business is heading. If it's going in the right track, I'm pretty happy. But if you say, based on my prediction, that smaller declining prediction is what has been happening. So that's exactly one place which you can see. If you're a LinkedIn user, you can see LinkedIn gives you a prediction, the number of users that looked into your profile. Maybe it's 15, but coming month, if you don't do any action, you may see a dip in your number of visitors. So that's exactly some sort of predictive analytics that they're doing over there. All right. So now let's move on. I mean, this is example. So some of the interesting example which I want to share. So do you guys know about? Okay, let me see. Any more questions? What is the easiest way to get updated? Okay, so I think I was not able to get in sync with those messages that you guys were sending. Apart from HPage, Hive, Pig, and Mahout, what else needs to be known to get a good job? Okay, Mac is asking for benefit of all of this. So you're throwing away all your doubts, all your this thing. There is no expert over here, no, including me. So I'm also learning every day of my time to get those knowledge in. So let's put in the chat for the entire people so that everyone knows what exactly. So yes. So current, I would say Spark is getting a very big traction in terms of the market, because Spark is a big thing that you need to know. Before knowing the Spark, you need to understand all the ecosystem what we are talking about. So yes, apart from what you're learning. So we are also going to share you some sort of Spark documentation. So that will be one good thing. You're facing some sort of a glitch in my voice. If my speaker, everything isn't fine. Is that the case with everyone? Is that due to my data connection? The connection should be fine because I've just updated. Is anyone else? You're facing some issue. Let me pick my mic. Let me know if it's any getting better or. Okay. So I'm getting a little faster because 10:30 deadline we have, and these are not some of those topics which we need to really put it in our mind and grasp it. So this is some of the very, very casual talk which I'm making. No, it's not a matter of that. So yeah, maybe when I speak faster, maybe what you might to say is there might be a slight glitch coming up, maybe. So that's something we want to know from you guys. So just make sure you guys tell me. I mean, if I'm slightly overpaced or slightly reduce my pace, how exactly? So today, I mean, it's just a how exactly an icebreaker to a big data environment. So I might be going a little bit more. Okay, packet race is fast. All right, so a lot more technology is being covered over here. All right, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. That's interesting. Let's pick it up. Okay, so maybe the next session onwards, I would really like to get those feedback in, because telling that, okay, I mean, as and when you think my pace is, so some of those things, maybe in a casual talk, it's easy to go fast, and then I mean, I don't want you guys to register many of those things. Really, I mean, if you just like reading a novel, I mean, in case if you want to get it register. But from our next session onwards, these are the core technical stuff or the core details that we need to. So that's where I want you guys to register. So I'll use my own technique from my basic training experience, what sort of a technology or whatever technique and I need to adopt so that I get you guys more registered using some of those typical examples. So I do create my own animation, my own figures. So I'm more what exactly you say? So visual person. So I have created based on some of those slides, which it's easy for you to get those concept grasped easily. So we'll definitely do that. But yeah, as and when you give I'm expecting a real time update from you guys too. So make sure you're telling your pace is a little fast, go slower so that we all can be in sync. Feel free to do that. Okay, yeah, typically example which okay, so scroll down and sense, okay, this I'm just putting it now. Okay, this screen you can yourself find out what are the, and some of the interesting thing I want to tell you is, I mean, how many of you know there is a microscope has been telescope, in fact, has been built by European nations in collaboration with the European nations, which was planned for a 2022, I believe, 2022 or 24. Anyone aware of those stuff? Just so what is expected is that's going to bring in more closer accuracy of 5,000 years behind our scene, 5,000 years ahead. So those kind of a calculation is being what expected, and that particular telescope is going to generate 160. Let me put that in facts. 160 gigabyte of data, okay, per second. 160 GB of data per second, and that's expected data that's going to emit. So it's a huge amount of data per second. So think of an environment which can really capture it. So during that time, I think big data needs to be 10 or 100 times more powerful. Okay, so by 2024, so that's how maybe some of us maybe still supporting it or not sure. So this amount of humongous amount of data, if you're able to make some meaningful insight of it, you need much powerful system. So that's exactly the kind of ecosystem what you're talking about. And some other example, what we need to know is IoT. I'm sure, pretty much sure, you guys might be hearing a lot of IoT, Internet of Things, or maybe IOE, Internet of Everything. So they want to have a human factor also being attached. So that's Internet of Everything, IoT or IOE. Okay, so that's the prediction is by the end of 2000. Yes, some of those guys who are just doing their MTech and the higher studies right now. So the research areas you might have heard about it. 2018 end, we'll see a world where your refrigerator is going to speak that the guy who's going to visit you next week is a vegetarian, and he doesn't like he doesn't like any high calorie or the kind of a food. He's more into proteins. So make sure your current refrigerator does not have much of the liking towards, much of the vegetable that he likes. He likes more of broccoli and asparagus or whatever. So that a fridge is going to talk to you, stating exactly the same. Okay, and to a next extent, it can automatically do a big basket order, and then the moment you come back, without even your knowledge, someone would have already ordered a grocery for you. So that's exactly the kind of technology you're going to talk, and that's very, very soon. 2018 mid is just 2 years down the line. You're going to see such kind of technology in place. If you're a technology enthusiast, if you see some of those, a shirt is being made completely of yarn. Okay, so it's so some of you guys in the bachelor stage, if you don't want to wash your clothes, and that's exactly the shirt you should be looking forward for. That shirt, from your beginning of your life to end of your life, unless and until you don't shrink yourself or something, you can use that shirt. Never ever you need to wash that. So it's resistant to sweat, it's resistant to dust. Nothing can pierce inside that particular shirt. So each yarn or each thread of that shirt is made of semiconductors. That's exactly the kind of, and it's already made, it's already in place. So that's exactly the technology what you're talking about. So you can Google it. You should be able to see a lot of things coming up. So, and with an IoT space, what you're going to see is by 2018 end, or maybe beginning of 2019 or mid 2019, what you're going to see is around 3,000 devices, interconnected devices. So till now, what we need to have is a machine needs to, machine-machine interaction was not a very, very huge step. But now that's exactly the kind of new emerging technology going to be. Your machine to another machine is going to interact with each other. Human intervention is not even required. And that's exactly, you can see many of the Google car, self-driven car, a lot of new kind of scientific, we are going to see exactly those science fiction movies in the very, very coming futures. That's exactly what you're going to see. So at the end of it, when we speak about all this stuff, it's all play around with data. So all these machines, all this stuff, a flight from Singapore to London, when it goes, it creates 4 petabytes of data. Okay, so how do you crunch this? How are you actually going to cope up with similar kind of a data? So that's exactly what you need to look up to. So that's exactly where the big data is going to be a savior and come with a lot more of it. Okay. Okay, now let's move on to the next slide. Before that, let me. Okay. So now let's move on. Let me have a time check as well. Yeah, so we have exactly 40 minutes time period now. Yeah. So what you can see is the blue portion of it. When we say business transaction data, this is exactly the kind of data we are talking about, the transactional data, row and column. So all this time, we had Excel format sort of a thing, or maybe a row column, employee ID, employee name, employee salary, employee department ID, department name, all these things are what we were been dealing with. But look at the amount of data that has been interesting. But now with 1990 onwards, you can see the social media emergence of all this social media. You can see the kind of curve that is being up with the web application data. It's a humongous amount of web data, unstructured data that has been overruled. Okay, so and that's this crunching this data and make a business insight of it is going to be the next business future. So every industry is trying to cope up with that and trying to bring in new technology in space. Okay, so basically you can see pharmaceuticals, you can see telecom, you can see manufacturing, every industry. There is no retail industry. Basically every nook and corner, big data application is in place. Eric Schmidt, word from ex-CEO of Google. So every 2 days now we create as much information as we did from the dawn of civilization up to 2013. So from 2003, how much amount of data we had accumulated, okay, that exact data is what we are getting in a couple of days' time. So solutions for data exploding, that's where the Hadoop comes into picture. And it has become a old story. So how many of you know about the Hadoop stuff? Can a data come from radar system considered as big data? Yes, exactly. So any system that's going to push in a huge amount of data, big radar system is another application where transformers or those signaling mechanism where till now we're dealing with gigabyte. So now we are doing data with petabytes of data, right? So let's pick up. So you guys know what is the let's pick it up. Okay, let's pick up some of our engineering or computer science information. So how exactly 1 byte? First, I have bytes data. Then it's going to be kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte. What exactly next? Terabyte, petabyte. That even I don't recollect some of those now. Yes, petabyte. No, before yottabyte, you have something else. Exabyte, zettabyte, right? And yottabyte. I think that's right. So this is exactly how the data is. So till now, our ecosystem, we have been dealing mostly of this type, and we have entered this space as well to a very little extent. But is there a bonotobyte? Okay, I never heard of it. So it comes after yottabyte, is it? Okay, that's a learning for you. Thanks. That's exactly what our expectation is. So yeah, bonotobyte. Yeah. So BB, is it? Great. So a learning from Sapna has given you all a learning. Bonotobyte. So I'm assuming it's after. Yeah, she confirmed it's after yottabyte. So peta, exa, zeta, yotta, and bonotobyte. Okay, great. Thanks, Sapna. Right? Okay, that's how you might be calling yourself. All right. Okay. Now, okay, I saw some questions coming up. Kaushik, can big data be considered some advanced version of SQL or DBMS table structure? No, I wouldn't call that, Kaushik. So very simple thing. When I till all this while I was dealing with, where is our data? All this while I was dealing with GB of data. I really wouldn't call this a problem for me. But when I start dealing with terabytes of data, petabytes of data, yes, this is a big data problem for me. So I need to find out a new mechanism with which I can process this data. That's exactly what I need to come up with, a new solution altogether. So this humongous amount of data and humongous variety of data. I mean, when I say humongous amount of data, that's not really rows and columns alone. I need to deal with images, right? You click your selfie, you immediately post it to Facebook. Poor guy, how exactly he is doing it, you don't even care. So that's exactly where we need to think about the processing and the kind of technology that has been happening. So the moment you post your beautiful snap, you can't even afford to have, 10 seconds is maximum you can wait for that to be posted and like being clicked on it, right? But the technology, how many number of guys? So out of 7 billion, I think currently there is a 3.5 billion account or something created on the Facebook. So 3.5 billion guys, out of which maybe 2 billion guys will be posting the photos, right? So within 10 seconds, if you don't get the photo, you start getting the Twitter and start Facebook is not as good as what it was supposed to be. That does not give me my satisfaction kind of this thing. So that's exactly what we're talking about. So immediate, fast response is what really we wanted. So our patience is also being tested. And for this is what we need big data solutions. Okay, so now RDBMS able to handle up to GB of data. Still, we use Scoop to use RDBMS data in Hadoop. Mac has a question. RDBMS able to handle up to GB of data. Still, we use Scoop to use RDBMS data. Yes. So So typically, what is happening now in some of the scenarios? So I just want to have a time check. Yeah, 30 minutes is what I have. Okay. So some of the typical scenario, what's happening is even we had, when I was supporting some of the client, they came up with a proposal that okay, we have some sort of problem and we want a big data solutions for it. And when we are doing a solutioning and all those things, so we constantly ask them, so what is the kind of a volume you're talking about? So initially they were hesitant. And then they started, the kind of volume they're expecting maximum or deviated volume that's going to be 10 GB or this is the kind of data. So that's really not a big data solution. So basically what's happening, so if you're trying 10 GB of data with a big data solution, you're going to get a degraded performance. Okay. So when I have humongous amount of data and I use those big data solutions, I'm going to get a much rigid and a better performance. Whereas I have small amount of data and then I'm going to do for big data solutions, I'm going to get a weaker performance. It's degrading with that. So what is that? Some sort of a saying is there, jitna, or the chadar, utna, something like that. So everything, since there is a new emerging technology in place, doesn't mean that even a very small KB or an MB of a data, you're going to take it up and processing it. No, everything has its own solution results. So you can't just come up with just because there is an emerging technology in the market, take it up, 1 KB of data. No, that's not going to work out for me. So I need to use exactly my case scenario for coming up with those solutions. So that's where I need to intelligently use for it. But yeah, it's a valid question Mac, you have asked. So because now there are a lot of customers who doesn't know how exactly to get benefit of this data. So what we're seeing over here is many of the case scenario. So what I would recommend you guys to do is do register for some of those talks, big data talks, and all those things. So that's where I collect some of this information. So what they speak about is there are some independent consultants available. They are working some European region as well as they're catering some of the US clients. So what they're going to do is they look at those guys who has adopted the big data solutions, and then they try to do some research on it, how exactly they're yielding benefit out of the big data. So many of the scenarios, what they found is they are not even really processing those data. So they are just trying to take this data, keep it aside, because they themselves don't know how exactly that needs to be processed. So there are very little number of customers in the current market who's actually exploring those value. But many of them are just taking it, pushing it, because they know tomorrow they're going to reap some benefit out of it. So that's the intention behind. And that's what we say. 2016, 2017 is really what you're going to see an explosion, because as for our research, what it says is around 52% of the Fortune 500 industry or the big industry has never even got into those big data ecosystem, because they are waiting for others to burn their finger and coming out with the final product. Once the final product is ready, there's 52% of the companies are going to adopt this technology. Okay, so when I say 52, there are remaining 48% of the guys who's already playing with big data, out of which 28% of guys are the one who is playing with the test data. So what they're trying to do is, whatever the industrial data or manufacturing data, what they have, they're just trying to push the test environment, do some analytics on top of it, do some proof of concept, do some case studies out of it, and really trying to understand, okay, can I really reap benefit of big data out of it? So they have not really enough to move to a big data in the production environment and do it. So they're not doing that, right? So there are only 20% of the industries currently doing real production environment and start exploring. And that's exactly the reason what we're telling is the real explosion of a data, the job market and all those things are something which is going to come up. So yes, you have invested your money in the right place is what really I want to say. There are n number of, so the moment you type in, Sagar, I'm responding to your question. So where do you get information on big data talk seminars? So I share some of those with you guys as well, because there are some independent consultant who is doing, forgot the name right now. So maybe in our next sessions, I'll try to pick up those information, share it with you guys. Pretty interesting one. But yeah, the caveat is, it's going to happen really at around our 11, not even 11, 12 and midnight and all those things. So, but once in a while, I mean, yeah, even the recordings are also available. So it's good to register for some of these sessions. Yeah, I'll share on those, share those information maybe in the next session or something. Sagar, I'll take a note of it and share it with you guys. Okay. Now what does this slide say? Solution of a data explosion. Yeah. So node fail frequently. Okay, so this is something which we need to discuss when common infrastructure, which is efficient, easy to use, reliable. Okay, so now all this while, what was happening is, I think someone has asked this question. So we had our DBMS system, we have all the system in place. So one key difference from those traditional systems is we have a humongous amount of our system available with us, okay, which is used for our data crunching purpose, which has been used for the data crunching purpose, and all those. Okay, so sorry, I slightly got distracted. Okay, so what was happening? We have those enterprise hardware. We call it as enterprise hardware. Everyone understand the difference between enterprise hardware and a commodity hardware? Or anyone understand the difference between enterprise hardware and a commodity hardware? Okay. So the benefit of others. Some of them has responder answers. Yeah. So enterprise hardware is some of those servers or the machines that you can see in a bigger organizations. What you can see is it's a very, very powerful hardware itself, machine which can automatically, the moment the data goes in, it itself take a hardware replica, picks it up somewhere. These are all gigantic machines, and when it says it's a huge machines, huge servers, it has its own cost as well. So there are n number of IBM, EMC, all those guys come up with those very, very highly sophisticated machines. So when this sophistication comes in these machines, the money also is going to go from your pocket. So that's exactly where it is. So now with the big data solution, what exactly it's trying to do is the laptop or the computer that you use at your home, take up those computers, okay, interconnected with multiple connections. And that's exactly how you're going to see a big server in a real production environment. So you can take up your neighbor's laptop, borrow the neighbor's laptop, get everything those connected, and then you're going to create a server on your own. And that's exactly the server that you're going to use in production environment. Okay, that's exactly how you're going to see the Hadoop environment over here. Let me ask some questions. So in case I'm going to, I'm going to run a business. I'm going to run maybe a restaurant or maybe a hotel business. And I just want to save some money. So instead of using a traditional enterprise hardware, a big server. I'm going to use some 10 small normal household computers. What is the issue with that? What do you think is? Why do you think the old, maybe before 2001 has used such kind of a machine? And what exactly is the key reason for that? What are 10 small computers better? Uh, but that has its own pros and cons. Any pros or any issues that you can see of using 10 different 10 small computers? So if that was really better, as Vikalp says, cost effective, but fault is free. Exactly. That's exactly the point which you're done, right? So anytime what you see is, okay, Akash has said small computers would have maintenance issue, response time, difficult cycle times. Great. Pros, Vikalp said pros says you can put it anywhere and cost is some time. Cons is sometime it may become 9 or 8. Yeah. So exactly. So that's exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. So what we're seeing, so 10 it may become 9 or 8. That's exactly the stuff what you're talking about. So what is the issue with that? So think of you're running a business, maybe a hotel business, someone is making a booking from your credit card. You see that person's credit card information is lost from your records, the information. He comes up, how what do you think is going to happen to your business? Maybe maximum 2 months you're going to run your business. After that, only you'll have to make your relatives to bring to your hotel and make them stay. Other than that, no one else is going to stay in your hotel, right? So that's how exactly the customer satisfaction is going to be. So that no one want to afford to have that kind of a scenario for your business to run. So fault tolerance, that's exactly what the prime factor. So how exactly fault tolerance is being handled when a small computers are being used? So that's exactly what you're going to see in our Hadoop environment, how exactly that fault tolerance scenario will be handled using a software, right? So that's what we see as node fail frequently. How exactly are we going to handle it? That's what we're going to learn. So now let me expand it here. Now next one, over the years, new processing pattern emerged. Evolution of Hadoop. Stream processing, search. Okay. So this slide, I just want to leave it to you guys. You can just have a look how exactly it evolved. 2002, 2003, 2004, there was a nudge project in place, and how exactly that nudge taken up by Yahoo has segregated, made it one part of nudge to a Hadoop and another one. And how many of you don't know what exactly is a Hadoop? How the name came, Hadoop? Let's put in the chat. How did the name Hadoop come in? So what is Hadoop? Yeah, please. Teddy name. Yeah, this elephant, you can see a yellow elephant running all over the places. It's exactly what Hadoop is, but came from the toy of deck cutting. Son is having an elephant toy. Yeah, that's where the Mac has answered for us. Come from the toy. So basically, deck cutting, who is considered to be the father of Hadoop, or the key architect behind the Hadoop environment, he had when he was doing this research, he had 3-year-old son who was playing with the toy, the elephant, the yellow elephant. He used to call it as Hadoop. So that's exactly the fund of Hadoop that came in. So it's something which interesting fact that you need to know. Yeah, thanks Mac for getting that. He wanted to give unique name. Yeah, that's exactly how it is. So you can see uniqueness as well as you can see the Google. It's a typical name, right? So it's not the sophisticated or any technology in place kind of a name. So that's the uniqueness with which you want to name that product. And then you can see all the ecosystem. So Pig, Hive, Spark, everything of that is coming up with Days. Any ecosystem that's revolving around the Hadoop environment, you can see similar kind of a naming. And pretty much animal lovers too now. Hives, what pig and all the name given to it. So yeah, just go through this slide and understand, try to like the environment, how exactly it evolved. What more? So these are the typical use AOL, HPAce, Netflix, IBM, and there are a lot more organizations. I mean, this is just a glimpse of it. There are huge industry respective of their domain, where pharmaceuticals, telecom, manufacturing, any industries, every of industries are putting a lot of money on big data because tomorrow is going to be on that front. Our interesting facts, job trends of big data. So that's exactly what I said. So this 0.194 million, what we're talking about, was a pretty old. So I really don't know what's the current, job market scenario. So this has been a research that's been conducted almost a year back. So I pretty much don't know the result. Anyway, pretty much for sure it has gone up, maybe 0.2 million to maybe another 0.3 million or something is what expected, because there is more and more industries coming up in terms of big data analytics. So where are we? Yeah, we are on track. So these are the big questions being asked. How much is the quantum of the big data? So we know what we spoke about is not gigabyte or anything. We have a humongous amount of petabyte kind of a data when we're going to deal with. That's exactly big data comes into picture. Why organizations are interested in big data problems? You're going to see that. Why data is increasing exponentially in the worldwide. We really know the social media is the one key reason for it, right? Why scaling up is not a solution for a big data problem. So we're going to see. That. Okay. So this is next session what we have, and we have exactly 20 minutes now. Let's open up the session for some of those questions. Okay, so Vikal's question. Then the Hadoop is going to be outdated after a few years. So that's why I said you don't have a room. You have a space for relaxing. So for sure, Hadoop is going to get outthrown with the latest of technology, because what I said is, but whoever is going to. So that's exactly the difference between our ambassador car and a power steering car now. So but anyone who is going to be there in the market, you need to understand the base how exactly the Hadoop evolved. So that architecture, maybe they might be using another 60% of evolution from that architecture and bringing a new system from the scratch. It'll be foolishness to do a complete ecosystem change. So what you're learning definitely is. So that's exactly the framework and structure which is going to come in, but more highly powerful and sophisticated system will be built on top of it. Yes, there is going to be some sort of installation procedure that Akash has asked the question. Yeah, it's not going to be. Yeah, any learning. So definitely. So I started my journey with big many of those mainframes and server-based systems. But when I do conduct around close to 20 sessions that I conducted, so there are a number of questions that have been asked. How to compare with those things. So that's any of those learning, any of those past stuff and architecture is definitely going to make you a foundation more stronger. So definitely need to understand what exactly is Hadoop 2. Yes, I think as part of the. So everyone can look into your dashboard, right? I mean, you're able to access your dashboard, and there might be I think practice session or something of that sort. Extreme right, and so you can see 3 tabs. One is session, PPT. Next one is assignments, and the third one is practicals. Right. So that's exactly what that's a document which you should be having. So there's this instruction given for downloading stuff and all those things. So we can wait for another day, but I would say in parallel, if you do it, that'll be great. So that you understand how exactly to play around with the system. So it's highly recommended to go step-by-step instructions. What exactly is that? Try to get more information out of it, and try installing the Hadoop environment in your Hadoop system in your environment, so that we can play around with it. With that being said, so this portion I'll wait for last 5 minutes so that you understand what exactly we are going to cover in the next sessions. So let's use this floor for remaining questions. So we have exactly 10 minutes now.
Hi,
Yeah.
I have a question here.
Yeah, who is this?
Yeah, this is Tarun. I'm working as a solution designer in Dialogic Networks. It's one of the telecom. It's related to telecom industry, so we are into voice over IP solutions.
All right, Tarun. Yeah, please go ahead with it.
Yeah. So my question is, I need to get some clarity related to one side is big data development, second is administration, and third is machine learning. So I need to have some clarity in all these three. I mean to say, one person is developing a car which is usually handy, and one is with the automatic steering, and somebody is using it. So ultimately, if you see over the market, so market is more interested to have the accurate data so that they can get some sales. So how development is more into market? I mean to say, in terms of job, or it is more about the interest. You are into development, so you wanted to enhance your future in that side. So some way, if you give me clarity, it would be more easy for me to adjust myself into the correct domain.
Sure. All right. Good question, Tarun. So one key aspect what you need to know is so you might have heard of since you have registered for this course and all those things, you might have done your own sort of a groundwork to understand what exactly. So one common thing which you would have encountered would be CDH or Cloudera installation. You might have heard of Hortonworks installation. Cloudera, Hortonworks, I mean, that's all the prime couple of guys whom I know about. So what exactly is happening in the current environment is Hadoop, Hive, Pig, all this associated environment, or the big data environment or a big data ecosystem are all open source product. Okay, so every Apache product, they're making one product after one product. Okay, and what exactly is happening? A Cloudera guy or a Hortonworks guy, what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring in all those best created product in the market available right now. They're going to club in all together. Okay, they're going to make it as a package. Okay, and then launching it to the market. And that's also freely available for those for the learning purpose. But in case you're going to be an enterprise customer, it'll be at a very, very minimal charge. They're going to provide a support for you. So that's exactly what administrative part of it. So what exactly Cloudera is doing is they're bringing up entire ecosystem together. Okay, almost 99% ecosystem that is required for the environment they'll be taking it. So entire pain of administration will be taken up for those guys. And what we see in the current environment is almost 80% of our installation are being CDH, Cloudera installation. And that's becoming stage. So some of them are being taken up by even the Hortonworks. So Hortonworks also come up with exactly similar kind of packaging concept. So what really happening is, so those administrative pain or those kind of the pain part for doing those administrative is being taken up by Cloudera or Hortonworks. And what support they're going to provide is, in case if you have any issues, they have their enterprise or the prime customer. So they're going to give you a solution within 15 minutes time or the time period which is being given by the SLA. So administrative part as such is being taken off from the job market, and this Cloudera or Hortonworks guys are doing it. But being all that said, there are some certain specific installations or certain client which they said, no, I don't want to use Cloudera installations. I don't want to use Hortonworks installations. I wanted to use my own. I wanted to only install Hadoop. I want to only install Hive or Pig or very limited number of things. And then I don't want to give my environment to any other third party. And I wanted to set up only my environment. So those kind of organization would need an administrator. The remaining would administrator role also will be played by the developer. So that, because that's as simple as that. So which or a Cloudera guy is going to give you is a VM, virtual machine. So you just need to take up that instance and install it. It's very, very simple installation. So that's exactly the difference. So many of them, since many industry has gone for this CDH4, the administrative job has gone shrink to a very, very large extent. So that's why you don't see much of a administrative part happening in this ecosystem. Does that answer your question? Okay, you had a machine learning as well. So did that answer the first two questions?
Yes.
Okay.
I understood.
All right.
So
the next one is...
sorry to interrupt you again. So let us
All
suppose
right.
if we talk about the banking services. As of now, one company is there, American Express. They have a lot of customer base in US and other countries as well. So one of my friend, he is doing administration of whatever the server infrastructure they have. So probably they will give it to the third party. From there, whatever the raw data is there, someone is going to write a code on that. The effective data they will take up, and accordingly they will do some analysis. So probably there is a scope of data scientist in some these companies who will not look for the infrastructure inside their premises. Whosoever giving it to the third party.
So client like Amex and all those things, they'll have a lot of PI information, very critical informations. So those environment, some of those do not want to outsource their environment to in outsource in the sense they do not want their kind of structure to be given to a Cloudera or something. So what will happen is there are chances they'll handle their own environment. So that's that in that space. Yes, there can be an administrative role coming up. And then what exactly the next question, what you're trying to do? Yes, data analytics, the data scientist kind of role. So basically when they have huge amount of data, that's exactly what we very initial time we spoke about, right? The data scientist role. So when we get a huge amount of data, he's going to do some prediction out of those data. So that's exactly the data scientist role. So how many number of customers? So within 1 year time period, what is your expectation? Am I going to get more customers, or is my customer base is going to dip? In case if it's going to dip, what sort of a corrective measures I need to take? So those are typically the data scientist role. Yeah, and typically when you understand machine learning, so every day you are dealing with machine learning. So as simple as when you type in some command in your Google page, right? So you're getting some sort of so when you say big data, so big data architecture and all those things. So that's nothing but machine learning is coming and taking and giving a result. Very simple. Other example, you can see your mails are being filtered as junk mail, valid email. Valid emails are going to the inbox. Some emails are going to junk. How exactly it's happening? Nothing but simple machine learning. So what it's doing is machine is learning you a particular, it's understanding based on the contents that is being getting into the email. It's understanding, okay, this is not relevant to this particular user. It's actually a promotional or a marketing stuff. And it's moved to a promotion folder automatically. It's going to be a marketing folder. I mean, in terms of Gmail, I've talked about. So that's how exactly the machine learning. So it's a very vast topic altogether, but I'm just trying to make you understand in a very, very hawk's eye view what exactly is the machine learning. So that's how it is. So learning, machine itself is going to make a learning on its own. That's what it is. So that's a huge subject for data analytics.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
No problem. Yeah.
And one more thing. So if somebody is giving to third-party administration to Cloudera or some other vendors, then your data would be open to public.
Not really. So they themselves would be having a lot of SLAs and all those things, right? So that's how the outsourcing, emerging market and all those things, right? So if outsourcing would not have happened, we in an Indian market or would never got a financial customers, right? So if you say that exposure is happening, India would have never gotten a financial market project, right? So there are certain SLAs and time limits and how exactly all this are dealt.
But that is more related to commercial. But somebody, let us suppose Amazon and Flipkart, they having the same data. I'm not talking about the big e-commerce players, but if some small players, they would be having the contract with the same company, then their data is in open cloud.
See, so when you say open cloud, even the Amazon, I'm talking about the AWS system, that's completely an open cloud system, but that itself is very segregated, or it has its own space for particular customer. So even if you say data in the cloud, it's not really an exposed to an entire population. So that cloud environment, it's segregated for only for that particular customer. So we have segregated environment for each AWS and customers, or for that matter, any sort of customer. So no one want their data to be exposed to any third party or a competitor product, right? So we do, or those cloud infrastructure maintaining organizations do maintain such kind of access restrictions for the outsiders.
Okay, I got you. Thanks.
No problem. Anyway, so any questions? We have 4 minutes left, so let's quickly take you through what we're going to cover in the next session: solving big data problems. That's exactly what we're going to deep dive into. What we're going to see a real. So all today was Gyan and how exactly our job market and stuff like that. So the real problem and real how exactly we're going to dirty our hands for the next session. So next session, do we have really something that you need to do in terms of practical lab introduction to Layan applications? No. Yeah, but it'd be good in case if you have the first, I'm not sure whether you have first day itself, first sessions where you need to install stuff, because there is, we do cater in two different ways. One is we have provided, okay? Just like Cloudera or any other installation we are talking about, AcadGild have its own VM instances created with full-fledged entire infrastructure, okay? That's one way of doing stuff. Or one way. Another way is you yourself can take up each of the components separately, okay, and create an environment for yourself. So that's also another way possible. And how to do that? There is a document being shared in that. So using an AcadGild VM is a much simpler solution. It's all everything. The piece of cake is there for you. You just need to take it and test it. The other one, you may have to doing all the processing for making the cake. So that's exactly the difference it's going to be. But those document how exactly you need to do, that document is shared with you guys. You should be able to see in the third tab. Okay, so this is something which you're going to cover: concepts, Hadoop cluster. What do you mean by a Hadoop cluster and stuff like that? That's what you're going to see, and Hadoop one architecture, just like we said, Ambassador car. That's what you're going to see. And this is a journey from Ambassador to a power steering. Okay, so I think now Ambassador even come with power steering, right? So I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to question that. Okay. Anyways, name node, data node, all the things you're going to learn. Introduction to Yarn applications. Yarn stands for yet another resource negotiator. We're going to see deep into that. Phase 1 and phase 2. All these things will be covered in Thursday session. Okay, Vikalp. So I guess answer to question. That's the same question for me. Okay, so I guess that's been answered, right? So any more questions? So let me just see if, although we had a Hadoop, but ultimately we may need such high-end hardware too, right? To process such a huge data. Oh, sorry, I missed this question from you, Satik. So will this not incur more cost? Okay, so that's exactly what I said. So we in the Hadoop environment is no more going to use those enterprise huge hardware. We are just going to take up 10 computer system that has been sitting in your desk, and all those things. We are going to take it up, connect it, interconnect it in a LAN or whatever network, and then we are going to make that as our real production environment. So when you run your hotel, borrow from your neighbor, and you are going to make your Hadoop environment ecosystem for you. That's exactly how it is. Don't borrow it, buy it on your own. It's just a small computer. Okay, so Hadoop can be used with any technologies like Microsoft or anything. Yes, Hadoop now supports Microsoft, but religiously people are using the Linux environment. But yes, they do have now Windows support as well. To be frank, I have not really used any of those Windows support stuff, but I know that yes, with the Sigwin you can play around with that. But sorry that yes, Windows can be used, Chandran, but I have not used it. And I do have a limited knowledge, but I know that it can be used because it's almost 1 year back they have provided with the complete support for. But the recommended one and easy, the grammar one of doing it is any yes, Windows support is there provided for big data. Okay, there is, or do I need to get fresh Ubuntu installation? Using Cloudera, using VMware, will that be enough for training sessions? That's a question from Mac. Yes, Mac, I mean, that should be fine, but some of those data you may have to push into your environment and play around with, that should be fine. Yeah. We are on target for now 1 minute 10:31. So let me take up from last one more question. Vikalp has asked, we have only one system with only 4 GB RAM. Are we all made the one system? Sorry, Vikalp, I didn't get that. So you have one computer with 1 GB RAM for your real production environment, are you talking about?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
Yes, sir. Actually, I was asking that you just told us na, that we need the 10 small systems and we were made the one big system.
Yeah.
So, sir, that's why I'm asking. We have only 4 GB RAM. I am only having 4 GB RAM. So, we all have to combine these things and make the cluster, or what, sir?
Yes, that's exactly how it is going to be. So, in case we're going to have 4 GB RAM, so each cluster of yours, or I didn't call it as cluster, that's exactly a node. Each node of yours is having 4 GB RAM. So that's how exactly we're going to process it.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. And combined together, we're going to get a bigger RAM. So that's how we're going to process it.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to see that. I mean, we're going to see that more in detail in the next session. So how exactly that processing? There's a typical way of processing when I have 4 or 5 systems together and with a separate RAM in place. Yes, there is a typical way of processing it. So that's what we're going to see.
Okay, so thanks.
All right. Yeah. So with that being said, we'll wind up for today, and you all guys have a good night. See you on Thursday, 9 o'clock.